Welcome back once again. There should be a box of cupcakes lying around from Sugar Cube Corner somewhere. If you find it, help yourself. Alrighty. So, tonight's tale makes a very clear point. Every myth and every legend, every ponytail has a grain of truth behind it, as the inspiration for such folklore had to come from somewhere. In this instance, while the authenticity of the asserted truths is dubious at best, it still makes the point clear that every legend has something that sparked it into life, something that inspired it, alongside the fact that, with time, these stories do change. So, go ahead, sit back, grab a cupcake if you can find it, and let us begin. The Truth Behind the Tale by Master Weaver.
I'm glad you came down to join us,
Octavia commented, sipping the eggnog in her mug.
No pony should be alone on Hearthswarming. Well, I wasn't planning on coming down at first,
Starlight Glimmer admitted.
I saw the trappings and not the core of the holiday. Then Twilight read me... You're going to think this is ridiculous. I think a lot of things are ridiculous,
Octavia countered, nodding to her head-banging companion.
That doesn't mean I don't take them seriously.
Starlight glanced at the white unicorn for a moment, a sly grin forming on her face.
I can see that. Well, she read me a story called A Hearthswarming Tale. Oh my, which version?
Pink Unicorn blinked, turning back to Octavia.
Version? Oh yes,
the gray pony confirmed with a nod.
It's been edited and retold so many times. Is this really your first time hearing Hearthswarming Tale? I did spend a lot of my childhood isolated. You know, the whole anti-cutie mark thing. It was the post-majesty version,
Twilight Sparkle interjected, entering the conversation. Octavia and her companion frowned.
You know, Vinyl and I have always disliked that version. They wrote out half of the core cast. Wait, what?
Starlight looked from Octavia to Twilight.
There's more to Hearthswarming Tale?
Twilight sighed.
Yeah, the Majesty version is really condensed. Snowfall didn't quite cast her spell in the original because Somber Tunes, her dead financer, suddenly appeared and warned her that actions have consequences, and then he says 3 spirits are coming to visit her. It's really very creepy. I can see why that was adapted out. It's crucial to the story,
Octavia argued.
Seeing someone she respected so broken because of what he did in life? And don't even get me started on Tiny Trotters. Yeah, Tiny Trotters should have stayed,
Twilight agreed. The Starlight held up a hoof.
Snowdash's son, Twilight explained. Very sick, but filled with love for the world and his fellow ponies. The spirit of Hearthswarming yet to come shows Snowdash fighting Wendigos away from his grave.
She shook her head.
The original was pretty dark, all things considered. A little darkness makes the holiday shine brighter,
Octavia mused.
And sometimes real life can be pretty grim. Yeah,
Starlight agreed, rubbing the back of her head.
Still, I'm kind of surprised that somebody wrote something so dark for Hearthswarming. It's frightening to consider what the world would have been like if Snowfallheart was real. Well, actually, she was real,
Octavia revealed. Twilight rolled her eyes.
Just because the original was published as a series of first-person journals, no, really.
The gray pony gestured between herself and her companion.
Our great-grandmothers were actually the musicians at the party, Philharmonica and phonograph.
The princess tilted her head.
What? It's actually why Vinyl almost never speaks,
Octavia continued.
Phonograph was very interested in the science of music and wanted to pioneer a new kind of tune. So she asked Snowfall if she knew any spell that allowed for, well, instantaneous music creation. The spell she got did make her an excellent musician, but it also cost her voice.
She shrugged.
The enchantment got weaker in later generations, yet... Well, every time Vinyl speaks, a musical number starts. Great fun at parties. Terribly awkward when you have to find a bathroom. Oh, come on,
Twilight groused.
You can't really believe there's actually spirits of Hearthswarming past, present, and future. It's almost as unlikely as Wendigos being real, Starlight quipped. What?
Twilight gave her a look.
No, see, Wendigos are a species with confirmed traits. These spirits are unique beings. You can't have a unique being that's not part of a larger species.
Lovely party, Twilight. Discord skated by on a pair of fruitcakes, tinsel dangling from his antlers. I especially like your tree topper. He twirled, snatching up Vinyl's eggnog with his tail, and then maneuvered over towards Fluttershy.
Okay, so maybe you can have unique beings that aren't part of a larger species, but there's a lot of history with Discord, and there's only the one story with the spirits, so the story can't be real.
Well, you're sort of right. The gathered ponies turned to the newcomer. Twilight's wings ruffled.
Oh, hey Kevin.
Sup, princess? Kevin waved a holy hoof, licking his fangs.
Thanks for letting me come, by the way. Hearthswarming harvest is always a big thing for us.
I would have thought Hearts and Hoofs Day would be more important for changelings.
No, not really. Hearts and Hoofs Day is more saying, I want to love you, where Hearthswarming is more, this is how much I love you. It's the difference between planting seeds and harvesting crops, really.
Not that it isn't fascinating to hear about your disturbing tendency to reduce our relationships to mere foodstuff,
Octavia deadpanned.
But did you have a point in coming over here?
Oh yeah, just wanted to tell you that the spirits of Hearthswarming were my great-grandmother.
Wait, what?
Twilight shrieked.
The spirits were changelings?
One changeling, singular.
Kevin shrugged.
Granted, she did have help from her kids, but great-grandma pulled the main roles off on her own. See, she overheard Snowdash talking about her boss, and like I said, Hearthswarming's a big deal for us. Any pony threatening it has to be dealt with. She didn't know Somber Tunes was dead when she took his form, but she just rolled with it and made up the three spirits thing on the spot. Then she stepped out, turned into the first spirit, flew Snowfall to a warehouse on the edge of town, and hit her with a memory spell. Everything after that was just really, really good acting.
You're kidding, right?
Twilight stammered.
Changelings are behind a Hearthswarming tale?
Well, not at all. Tiny Charter's crutch is a family heirloom.
What about Mary and Professor Flintheart?
Like I said, memory spell. They used the time Snowfall was knocked out to set up the present time scene.
I thought Mary was a present time character,
Starlight murmured.
Actually, the original story has her as Snowfall's first employer,
Octavia explained.
Also introduced her to Flutterholly, the love of her life. Of course, back then, mixed relationships were frowned upon, and Flutterholly was a Pegasus born to an Earth pony, so... What about Light Life and Bright Song?
Twilight insisted.
How could they have known about Snowfall's family?
Bright Song was pretty well known,
Kevin said with a dismissive wave.
It didn't matter that her aunt was so hard-nosed. Every pony loved Bright Song back then. Heck, Great-Grandma even considered revealing herself to the mayor a couple times.
Actually,
Octavia mused,
if changelings were faking the whole thing, would that explain the twins?
Kevin laughed.
Yeah, a couple of Great-Grandma's kids got caught out of costume. Lucky she came up with the ignorance and want spiel. After that, she just slapped a nightmare spell on Snowfall and dumped her back home. Other changelings had already sabotaged the spell, so there wasn't really any other reason to keep Snowfall distracted.
He shook his head with a grin.
Then she woke up completely reformed. That was a happy little accident, let me tell you. Great-Grandma didn't even realize what happened until the story was published.
How did they sabotage a spell that powerful, anyway?
Starlight asked.
Well, they basically refocused it to only erase memories of old Hollyhooves. It did make things awkward for that reindeer over the next few years, since no pony remembered why random presents would show up, but a few saved Hearthswarmings later and he was back on his hooves.
Twilight fluffed her wings.
I loved that story, all the versions, and now you're saying it was all a scam by the changelings.
Starlight took a breath.
Twilight, look, it's not how it happened that matters. What matters is the message. The trappings aren't the purpose behind the holiday. It's spending time with your friends and your family and trying to make things better in any way you can. It doesn't matter if you use songs, puppets, or dogs to tell the story. If the core message gets across, then the story's worth it.
Octavia nodded.
Well said.
After a moment, Twilight hesitantly smiled.
You're right, Starlight. I guess it really doesn't matter that much.
She tilted her head.
Why dogs, though? I was aiming for something random.
Starlight shrugged.
Happy Hearthswarming, by the way. Happy Hearthswarming.
And may your harvest be bountiful and blessed.
Every pony glared at Kevin.
What? It's a traditional toast.
He sipped his eggnog.
Don't judge.